Number one, de-dollarization is definitely happening. I think there's a lot of fear that's spread around because of it. In reality, am I making a trade today on the collapse of the dollar? No, right? I mean, am I tucking some gold away? Yes, gold, silver, metals, Bitcoin eventually, absolutely. But it's not something that like is going to happen overnight. You're not going to wake up tomorrow to a dollar being worthless. We're not Weimar Republic, right? So I think that that's something that people have to hear because I've seen so much on social media panicking about this. I had a friend that I hadn't heard from in years message me, "Hey, do I need to exit all my dollars?" And it's like, not quite yet. I mean, it's one of those things you need to understand is coming, but it's not like a do or die scenario right now.
In a recent live broadcast on the Crypto Banter YouTube channel, veteran investor Gareth Soloway discussed his views on the US dollar and China's de-dollarization agenda. Despite reports of the impending fall of the US economy, Soloway believes it is not yet time to exit the US dollar. However, he acknowledges China's efforts, along with other BRICS nations and allies like Russia, India, and Saudi Arabia, to displace the United States as a superpower and take over the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency. Soloway, along with economist Harry Dent and investor and author Wella Middlecoop, discussed the urgency of the threat to the US and the dollar's dominance. They all agree that China's de-dollarization agenda is real and poses a great threat to the United States. However, Dent believes that even after the US is officially ousted as the world's superpower, China will not emerge as the new superpower. During the discussion, Soloway and Dent explained that power has frequently changed hands over many centuries and that it's only right for the current world power to be prepared for a time when it would no longer hold that position.
Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to drop your comment and observations in the comment section below. Thanks and enjoy the video.
There's no doubt that China wants to be the reserve currency of the world. They're trying to destabilize this by working with countries all across the world to start trading in digital yuan. We know Saudi Arabia is doing trading in oil and so forth in other currencies as well. So it's coming. It is in process. It's just not going to happen overnight. And the way you know that, by the way, is when you see fear hit this market, the stock market, where does the money go? It still goes back into the US dollar, right? So as of now, that's the case. But again, every investor out there needs to be aware that this is happening. The dollar will slowly become the non-reserve currency of the world, and you will see the dollar lose power due to that. And by that meaning the US will lose power as well. We know that the US uses that as a reserve currency to maintain order that they see fit and control, and that will slowly slip away. China wants that control. If you look historically at the reserve currencies over the last 500 years or longer, there's a time life, right? There's a lifetime of a reserve currency. And we're kind of right at the end of that for the US dollar. So number one, that's just the nature of it. And by the way, it's not that there's a time frame on it. It's just that countries do not have the discipline to not print their own currencies. When you have the crazies running the crazy house, they're going to do whatever they need to do to maintain power, which is printing money and so forth. So it's just the nature of human nature, frankly.
It's very demographic. Europe was the center of the world, 1500s and 1800s, and America rose and was the new place, and huge immigration and capitalism and all this sort of stuff. We became it. Now it's just moving to Asia. The progress has moved from west to east for all of modern times. Okay, so the dollar cannot be the central currency in the future. It's natural. I see the dollar only getting strong as a safe haven, just as it did in 2008. By the way, it went up. The dollar and treasury bonds went up 40%, right, in the worst of the crisis. It was the safe haven. So the dollar will be favored if we go into this recession that a lot of us are agreeing is likely. And I think it will be more a short depression. But we come out of this, the US is going to grow a lot faster than Europe. We're still the strongest developed country, major developed country. But Asia is going to have all the growth. And it won't even be China, okay? China is not going to throw its weight around after this. China is going to get hit the hardest. 22% empty homes, enough to house everybody that'll ever migrate from the world. They've already gone to 60% urban. They get to 80%. They've already built all those houses to stimulate their economy. So they didn't print money. They printed condos, okay? So China is going to go down in the worst debt restructuring in history. And they're going to come out of this week. But Southeast Asia and India are going to be the future. And so demographically, the growth in the world is just going to move towards Southeast Asia and South Asia, India, and Asia altogether. China will still be big. It just will not be growing like it did. And so ultimately, you're going to have, I think, frankly, by the time we get to this realization, the best standard for future money will be, guess, Bitcoin. Bitcoin could become the standard, the gold for the new because it is digital and it is neutral and it is more limited, as somebody said earlier. Bitcoin could end up being the standard for a digital economy globally, where everybody has to tie to that.
According to Den, India has the potential to emerge as the dominant economy after the US rather than China. Although he is one of the few people to suggest this theory in recent months, many other experts agree that India has the potential to become a superpower. India has been steadily growing its economy for over 2 decades and is expected to surpass Germany by 2025 and Japan by 2027 to become the world's third largest economy after the US and China. In addition, India overtook China as the world's most populous country in April, according to the United Nations population estimates. This is the most significant shift in global demographics since records began, and India is expected to continue to widen the gap with China until its population peaks in 2064. If it is indeed a game of demographics, as Den believes, then China stands no chance with a stalling and aging population. However, China's deep influence on the global stage, as well as its booming economy, cannot be completely ignored. Middlecoop believes that the United States still has several cards to play to profit its economy, but like the other two, he is also concerned about de-dollarization.
I think they have a few more tools available. We could have a dollar devaluation, you could have a gold revaluation. There are many, not many instruments, but there are some instruments left. And we've seen with the collapse of the banks, the Silicon Valley Bank, they print money right away. We saw the increase of the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve. It was up a few $100 billion. If we have some more problems, we'll see the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve increasing again. But there's something much more important at stake, because we only talk about the dollar here, and we talk about the dollar system and the Federal Reserve. We haven't said one word on the de-dollarization yet. And there are now over 140 countries who don't accept the US rules of the game anymore. They didn't join the US in the sanctions against Russia. Most of them have China as their largest trading partner, which might help explaining why they don't support the Western sanctions. Many now receive funding from China. They don't look for funding with the IMF or the World Bank. And many of these 140 countries are considering joining the the China-led BRICS alliance. Even the Saudis, even Mexico consider joining the BRICS. And the Saudis already ended the petrodollar deal. They accept all kinds of payments now, also in yuan or other currencies. So that's the big shift. And the US will keep printing money. The de-dollarization will continue. And that's the big news for me. I've been studying the financial endgame, for over 10 years. And I just wrote a little piece for on my Patreon account. And I wrote that the petrodollar deal of 1974 was the foundation, was essential for the dollar to remain the world reserve currency after Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. So for the last 50 years, the petrodollar deal was the foundation for the strength of the dollar. But now, it's the end of the petrodollar deal. And I'm not the only one saying this. I have a text here in front of me of Credit Suisse, Zoltan Pozsar. You might recognize that name. He's a former Fed official. He wrote March 7th last year, 2 weeks after the Russian invasion. He wrote a wonderful piece. You can find it online. It's titled Bretton Woods III. We are witnessing the birth of Bretton Woods III, a new world monetary order centered around commodity-based currencies in the East that will likely weaken the euro-dollar system and also contribute to inflation in the West. I will read two more lines. A crisis is unfolding, a crisis of commodities. Commodities are collateral, and collateral is money. And this crisis is about rising of outside money. After this crisis is over, he says the dollar is valued a lot lower. This Credit Suisse, there's not some gold bug. And if you ask for my currency allocation, I see gold as a currency. I always have this model portfolio, 25% of your investment in real estate, 25% in equities, 25% in physical gold and silver, and we keep 25% in liquid assets like Bitcoin. I prefer just Bitcoin, but I'd like to keep it simple. You could add Ethereum. Bitcoin is a digital gold. Ethereum is a digital silver. It's not decentralized. And, the amount of Bitcoin is limited, 21 million. And that's what makes Bitcoin the best store of value, the best digital asset as a store of value. And this is such a rare opportunity, and it's still cheap.
Soloway, Den, and Middlecoop have presented arguments that have been discussed by economists for years, if not decades. They claim that the United States economic system is unstable and at risk of failure. The country has dug itself into a deep hole with unrealistic fiscal and monetary policies, as well as massive debts. Digging deeper is not a solution, and Bitcoin can help diversify one's investment portfolio to avoid potential economic storms. As for China's de-dollarization agenda and the internal and external threats to the United States' dominance, what are your thoughts? Please share your comments and observations in the section below. For more daily dose crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.